Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friends of the Force, a Star Wars podcast. I'm your host, Brad.
I'm your host, Sarah.
And this week on the show, we are previewing Star Wars The High Republic Wave 3. It's the big, scary one, folks. And joining us, the perfect guest from Rogue Padron, Danny. Danny,
Hello.
Welcome to the show. First time on Friends of the Force. So happy to have you here.
Thanks. I'm so excited to be here and get to talk about the High Republic in an outlet other than my own, which is I appreciate.
And we're just ready to go for it tonight because, as I said, I'm scared. I'm terrified. Sarah, how are you feeling about the High Republic right now?
I'm horrified. I'm terrified. I was talking to a coworker today and I was saying, okay, yeah, I'm so excited about the High Republic. I love the High Republic, would die for all of the characters in the High Republic. But like, if I never see Wave 3, if I never read
Big
it,
2021 energy right there.
that might be okay, because then I won't have to deal with all my pain that I will inevitably feel. Yeah, it's I love it, but like I know I'm experiencing a tragedy, and like part of me wants to get off this ride. But I'm strapped in. They did the safety check before we got going, and I'm not going anywhere. So here we are.
Here we are indeed. Well, if this is your first time listening to one of our High Republic previews, we've done 2 of these before. So this is our final Phase 1 preview. And what we'll do is go through some of the recent High Republic news, talk about our overall thoughts of the High Republic so far. And then we will be discussing all 5 excerpts that have been released thus far. So if you don't want like any spoilers and you want to go in fresh to these books, you'll probably want to tune out there, and we'll actually mark that in the description of the episode. But we're going to just go for it. And first off, Danny, I want to know, did it hurt when you realized that the High Republic began this year?
Oh my gosh. You mean these books that I've been reading for years, these characters that I've known and loved for my entire life started 11 months ago? That's not right? That's
not right.
No.
It can't be. No. Absolutely not.
The fact that the very first piece was released in 2021, which is the same calendar year as this year, just boggles my mind, and I cannot wrap my brain around it.
Yeah, it's a very strange feeling to think about, because I also feel like we've been living with these characters for at least 5 years of my life. And maybe it's just because I've been
Luke Skywalker come take Grogu away before we read a word of the High Republic. Like, how is that real?
Whoa.
Are you sure?
I mean, now I'm second guessing myself, but I'm pretty sure Mandalorian ended in 2020, right?
You are correct.
December, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my. Oh no.
I'm having a crisis about that.
Oh no. We broke Sarah.
If that isn't enough, a baby that was born on Valentine's Day of this year has never not known the High Republic.
I'm deeply I'm deeply unsettled, frankly, and I'm not processing any of that. And I evaluate the calendar years from March to March now. So
yeah, right.
The idea of things happening before March being this calendar year, very weird to me. My birthday in February it used to be in the beginning of the year, and now it's at the end. I'm really struggling. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Well, thus begins the night of being completely unsettled about Star Wars.
Yay!
Yes. What a tradition it is. So, Danny, since this is your first time talking with us about the High Republic, and for maybe folks who don't already follow you on Twitter and know some of your thoughts, what has your experience with the High Republic been like so far?
It's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's good. And I love it a lot. Did you bring me on here to give coherent thoughts?
It's just going to be a lot of pain, laughter, and pauses here. I just think they're the entire time. So you're good. You're good.
I've been sort of active in the online Star Wars fandom for a bit here. I've had my more than half-decade anniversary of creating my Twitter account so that I could talk to Star Wars people online. And I like one of the things that the long time old school Star Wars fans are always talking about, especially the book fans, is like the days of the New Jedi Order, the Legacy of the Force, these long running book series where they just got to read book after book. And it was big, huge event happening in publishing. And I always was a little bit envious of that because books are my preferred medium over the movies and TV shows and whatnot. Not to say that I don't love those as well, but I'm a bookworm first, I think. And so to be able to get to have that experience, and in my mind, it's elevated from those experiences because of the multimedia nature of the initiative and the fact that there's the YA in the middle grade and the fact that there's so many amazing people behind the screens, behind the pens, behind this, putting the words down. It's just, it's, I feel like we're winning so hard, and it is not an experience that I'm quite frankly used to as a Star Wars fan.
It's complicated because it's like, oh yes, we're winning so hard, everything is great, and then at the same time it's like character dead, character gone, your new favorite character, they're bad now, and you're like, could they betray somebody? It's and so I find it to be this really like incredible feeling, but also the worst, because it's like I know I am on the roller coaster going down.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't it great to be emotionally manipulated by people you trust?
I mean, I guess you're right. You make a strong point.
Because I don't know where this is going. I know that there's sadness and pain and misery, but I trust the people that are taking me there. So somehow it's all okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. You're like, darn you, Kevin.
Yeah.
But nicely, darn
Justina,
you. Justina,
Claudia, I know that you're about to tear my heart out. Claudia's done it for 5 books now. But like, please, do you want me to remove it for you? Just save you the step of having to reach in there? Like, stomp away.
Exactly. Yeah. It's pain, but it's like, yeah. Sounds good.
Sounds good to me. Star Wars is tragedy? Yes, please.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Sky Talkers button and be like, this is who I am now.
Yeah, bring it on.
There's something interesting about the High Republic that, we knew it was going to be. It's sold as the high point, the golden age, and it's just been anything but that the entire time. Yeah. And there's just something so ironically Star Wars about that. Whereas like the prequel trilogy is the same thing.
We know this goes to the Empire. Like, we know that's where this goes. Like, there's no possible way to unorder 66 this whole thing. Like,
every time you watch Revenge of the Sith, you're like, maybe it'll be different this time. Maybe I can scream through the TV and let Anakin know.
Geos has nuzzled his way into my heart. Maybe. Nope, it's still happening. Why?
You're like, maybe they can execute Order 67 and it's free hugs for everybody? Like, but no.
Yeah, no. It's not a great time sometimes. But you know what? The High Republic has been just a load of fun for me because I like that we're getting away from the Skywalker saga, and I've said this before. I think it's a much needed breath of fresh air. Lots of new characters that people can see themselves in and relate to, and just completely be hyper fixated on. I am definitely a Elzar Mann hyper fixator. I relate to him very, very dearly for reasons that may or may not be said. But he's just a mess like I am, and that's okay. We're all messes at the end of the day, and we're just dealing with our messiness, and that's Elzar Mann in a nutshell, right? Mm-hmm. He is somebody that has to deal with that. Sarah, I know you have some thoughts about Elzar, and we got some new art of him with this Phil Noto poster for Wave 3. We get a little bit of Elzar,
just a little bit though. It's not enough. So
yeah,
that's my professional review. Not enough Elzar Mann. He should be the largest figure on the screen. He clearly is the best. And he's a hot ass mess. So we love him. We hope he gets therapy. The whole thing. We can talk more about Elzar Mann later. I don't want to get on that, pedestal yet.
Well, before we get into our kind of formal Wave 3 discussion, again, there is some news to discuss. So coming up on January 4th, there is a High Republic show anniversary special with Christina Ariel. So Christina is going to talk with the authors of the High Republic, and there's also going to be some news, which is really exciting. And again, I think that was the first time.
Why is that date?
What is the launch of Wave 3.
Huh.
The Fallen Star. That's it.
Uh-oh.
But what could it mean? They're going to drop a bombshell on us. I know it.
See, that's what's so interesting because it's the day that the book comes out. Like, no one's going to have had a chance to read it yet. But so what are they, like, I'm really, really curious to see what the bombshell is going to be because it's going to be something, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably going to be, this is when phase 2 is starting, or look, all your favorite YA books are coming out in paperback because they are.
Do we know this? Is this like secret undercover intel from behind the bookstore?
Well, it was, and then our friend Blue Milk Mama tweeted about it on Twitter. So she got those deets. She must have done some scouring on the internet, so I consider it now public information. But
Nice.
It's happening.
Nice.
But yeah, that's happening. And yeah, I just feel like we're probably gonna get a phase 2 announcement, which I'm prepared for. Will it be in line with Celebration? Will it be later? I don't know, and I don't think I'm ready for it either way.
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling Celebration. Imagine all of the High Republic fans at Celebration going to the panel and just the excitement of that. And also if there's High Republic cosplays. We haven't had a Celebration with High Republic cosplayers yet. That's going to be so exciting. I want to see a Geode cosplay.
So
That's my number one.
I was in line to get an autograph from Charles Soule at C2E2.
I really thought that was going to end with Geode.
It wasn't, but I also would like to cosplay Geode, a different story for another part of this episode. But just like the energy about the High Republic in that line amongst people who are there, I'm like, we are all the Republic. Hi guys, like let's be friends. And let's also, like, it made me so excited for the potential of the High Republic, you know, fandom at Star Wars Celebration, because the High Republic is a generally fun place on the internet, and that's nice. Like, it's a lot of like delightful shit posting and like panicked tweets in the nicest way, and it's a good time. So I'm ready for that IRL energy.
Yes, I'm very excited for Celebration. I think phase 2 though, you know, we got to get through wave 3 first. I'm a little worried. I don't want to know about phase 2 yet. It's just going to make me melt into a puddle.
The biggest piece of information that I'm hoping that I really just want to know, and I'm hoping maybe they'll be able to drop it at this anniversary special because it's not a huge spoiler, is what is the time jump from phase 1 to phase 2?
Yeah.
Am I saying goodbye to these Jedi at the end of phase 1? Or are they going to be maybe just a little bit older? Or are we 100 generations forward or 100 years forward? What's happening between phase 1 and 2? Because I don't know yet what the full big picture is. Are we going all the way to Phantom Menace, or is this all going to remain in this time period that we're at right now? And I'm really curious. And I think once we find out what's happening with phase 2, that'll help illuminate sort of what the big picture plan is. So I'm really curious for that bit of information.
Yeah, because eventually we also get to the Acolyte, which is 50 years before Phantom Menace. So it'll be interesting. I think it's all leading to that in some ways. I'm still hoping we get Aga Buri in the Acolyte. That needs to happen. That'd be a big missed opportunity if it doesn't.
Do we know for sure that Buryaga isn't the Acolyte?
Oh, maybe he's Sidious. Maybe Sidious is a Wookiee, actually. We don't know.
I would not like to consider that possibility.
Anything can happen.
No, I think my wet bub Sith Lord theory has a lot more merit than this Buryaga Acolyte theory. So
yeah, and I can't wait to hear more, frankly.
We'll save it for the speculation, but
cool.
I didn't prepare all my charts for you, but we'll get into it.
Listen,
Cool.
I'm in my Star Trek Discovery feels where I learned about the guy who was a Klingon who turned human. So I'm just thinking like maybe there
Spoilers
could be
for season 1, everybody.
there could be a Wookiee who got turned human. So who knows? There's parallels. It's like poetry. I think that's how that works. Maybe. But okay, speaking of characters though, so the other bit of news is we got some really cool character art for like wave 2, including Jordana Sparkburn, just amazing as always. Chancey Yarrow, who is Sylvestri's mom, Queen.
Also, you seem to have forgotten Remy, who I would die for, by the way.
Did I?
Remy. Yeah.
Yes. Oh man.
I only think I didn't remember this from the book. I only learned this when I checked her Wikipedia page. But Remy was described in the book as being blue and green, and in this image she's gray. And so I think that we have a color-changing creature going on here, which is pretty exciting.
In the words of Daniel Jose Older, canon.
There you go. Yeah, like a seasonal shed, maybe.
Yeah. 100%.
Oh my gosh, amazing. We have Gira Steros, who is Avon's mother. Nito Jana, who is the pilot of the Switchback, who used to work with Chansey Yarrow. Xylan Graf, who, Danny, I know you have some thoughts on Xylan in just a second. And then we have M227, who was Silvestri's old companion droid and was also Chansey's old security droid as well. So let's kick it off with Xylan. Danny.
Fuckboy.
Yeah.
Excuse me, pardon my French. What I meant to say was fuckboy.
Mm-hmm. It's
like, you know, reading the book, I had the image in my head, but just like, it's like he's 100 times more that just like seeing him physically in front of me. It's so good.
It's a lot of elements here that all come together to form the perfect fuckboy. It includes the swoop of the hair, the deep V on the cut of his top here.
Not just his top, his unshaven top. That man is going for it.
And then I think on top of all of that, and, you know, I don't want to make any comment about people who wear capes. Capes are lovely, but it's all of that put together with the cut of the cape here. It's not a floor length cape. It's like it's a midi cape, you know, a lot of elements here, but yeah. It's,
I mean, as we know, capes are the tell in Star Wars for when a character is pansexual. So like this checks out. And you know, did we need some fuckboy pansexual representation? I don't know, but it's good that we have like characters we can root for and not root for when we're representing those different identities. So I'm here for it.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Xylan feels, he feels a lot like Lando to me. You know, Justina writing
but
Lando's
also like
luck,
way worse.
You know, a worse version of Lando. Yes,
way worse a person.
Like Lando had, you know, morals. So.
Yeah, Lando's podcast I would listen to. Xylan's, I do not think I could get through an episode of that.
No.
Yeah, exactly. I also would like to shout out on these pieces of concept art, in the words of the immortal Saoirse Ronan, women. Here, because
well said.
Steros her outfit is incredible. The billowy sleeve of her like floor length jacket. I'm living for it. Also, Chansey Yarrow's the sparkles in her skirt. I'm sorry. They're giving me fashion. They're giving me power. And I have to really, really appreciate that. I want to see more of both of them because they are both fascinating characters, especially Chansey. Oh my gosh, Chansey Yarrow. But I want to get to know them better. And I would like to continue to see their fashion choices because currently we have great selections here.
Yeah.
I love the Chansey Yarrow art because I was expecting lab coat, goggles, like this big old nerd.
Yes.
And it's but again, people can be multifaceted. And so we can have very fashionable nerd here. And the sparkles on the dress, I'm imagining that she designed it herself and that these are actually like very specifically placed, like it's a map of a star system that she's studied, hyperspace route perhaps, that she has fashioned onto this dress that she's wearing.
Yeah. I would like that. I like that. Again, canon. Stamp of approval.
I do want to make one thing I did learn this year, and Sarah and I learned this over on our Patreon episode as we were chatting, but the Karita Military Academy, I just didn't realize until I rewatched Solo recently, that's the same academy as Han Solo. Chansey, Lorna D, Han Solo, fellow...
was it Chasna Chaddock that also went there?
Maybe.
Somebody from
who knows?
From the Alphabet
their
Squadron?
standards really dropped over the last 200 years.
Somebody,
we go from Chansey Yarrow to Han Solo and Chasta Chat. Really?
I could be lying about Chasta Chaddock, but I
Who's
think
next? Dio?
I'm saying nonsense at this point. I think somebody in the Alphabet Squadron, or at least in Alphabet Squadron, is mentioned.
Maybe it was Nath. Or maybe, yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I haven't read those books in a couple months. Obviously, I've forgotten everything about them. I'm so sorry.
Time for a reread.
Cut all of that. Don't let me embarrass myself that much. We also got new concept art of 3 new characters that we're going to see, and I'm so excited because they are Lissa Vots, Nyla Quinn, and Yasek Sparkburn. And okay, I know Lissa Vots is obviously named after Disney Books editor, person in charge, not editor,
publicist.
Yeah. Publicist, thank you. It's been a long day. I work in retail, so.
Oh, really? December 22nd, a rough day for you in the retail world?
yeah. Who would have thought? But she is a Jedi archivist on Dalna. And I was like, Jedi archivist? She's my girl. I'd do anything for her. And I know nothing about her except what she looks like and the fact that she's an archivist. So it's going really well for me. And then Nyla Quinn is a Jedi Master on the temple at Dalna. She's a Twi'lek, so that's rad. It says Nyla, pronounced Nyla. Okay, I did pronounce it right. Cool. So makes me feel better about myself. And then we also have Yasek, and he is a Jedi Knight in his early 20s, serving under Master Quinn. And I have to say, he's quite handsome.
He is.
And he's probably really tall. So I don't know if you guys have thoughts on them. Would love to hear them.
Yeah, well, Yasek is a cook. He likes to cook the Durgaberry. And that I love that. I love that we just are getting so many Jedi who have culinary skills in the High Republic, that we need more culinary skill rep in the High Republic, because not enough people in Star Wars cook. I mean, we only really saw Rey cook the bread. But what else? I can't think of anything else.
It could also lead into more tie-in cookbooks, which is something that I'm personally quite invested in.
I agree. Give me the Yoda cookbook.
Danny, what are your thoughts?
I agree. You mentioned how Elzar Mann is relatable to you. Like, I think that's just part of what is so great about the High Republic, is that we are seeing so many more types of Jedi besides the warrior at the front of the battle lines of the Clone Wars, pew pew, which, like, they're great. I love them, but the diversity of character types that we're seeing in this is just so great. And like, between Reith, Silas, Vernestra Rowe, and now Lissa, like, I have my 3 archetypes right there. Like, it's Lissa is specifically pointed out as being someone who hates fighting and always forgetting her lightsaber. And I'm imagining that it's like always forgetting her lightsaber, like, oh shoot, I forgot my lightsaber. Guess I can't do fighting today. Oh, that's okay. I'll work on my archiving projects over here. It's fine.
Yeah, don't worry about it, guys. I feel like you've got it covered.
I highly relate to, because like, I'm like, if I were a Jedi, assigned this destiny from birth, I would be petrified of that lightsaber. I hate working with power tools. They scare the heck out of me. Like, anything that has even remote amount of power to cause harm, just like, no, thank you. I also just want to break our hearts a little bit. This was pointed out by one of my co-hosts on High Republic. I don't remember who, so I'm not giving proper credit, but these 3 were identified as working in sort of the local Jedi temple on, was it Dalna? Was that the planet?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of working in the local Jedi temple. And again, just sort of this reality check that, like, by the time we get to the OT, the Jedi temples are all gone. So even like all the local Jedi who are just like working in the library at their local Jedi temple, so that's fun.
That's a fair observation, because Hetzel was Wave 1's sort of central focal planet. Valo for Wave 2. I think Dalna is Wave 3's planet, and because I think in the comics there, the last issue, the Starlight Beacon actually transports right above Dalna.
Yes.
So do we think that the out of print cover where the Starlight Beacon is crashing, is that, are the Jedi on a cliff on Dalna? Like, do they kind of go down the Dalna and they're like, hey, that's our ship, and it's gone. It's in the ocean now. It's in the Dalnan Ocean. Goodbye.
Did you invite Brad? Did I invite Brad? Why is he here again?
Why am I here? To cause pain.
So rude.
The Jedi are in such deep shit.
Yeah.
And I'm scared for them. Even though the words have already been written, the plots have already been plotted, and at the end of the day, they're all fucking fictional.
Yeah. And it's not just the Jedi either. Like Lissa is working on an archiving project of some kind. I assume there are written works that are being archived. By the time we get to The Last Jedi, the entire library of the entire Jedi Order is reduced down to like 7 books that Luke Skywalker can't even be bothered to read before they go up in flames, aka Rey eats them on the Millennium Falcon.
Everything is pain.
I feel like, I think like the best comparison for the ending of Wave 3 and like the pain that we're going to feel is like the end of Desolation of Smaug, where like they unleash the dragon and then Bilbo's just like, what have we done? I feel like that's just going to be the ending of the Starlight Beacon. You know, like fire on top of a lake. Everybody looking at the destruction that has been caused, and they're just like, "What have we done? What have we done?" I'm not ready. Dalnans are just going to be pissed off. They're like, "Why did you bring all this stuff to our doorstep? We were having a good time. We were having a festival, like, you know, a taste of Dalna. We were just enjoying ourselves." And you've all ruined it. I would love to go to Taste of Dalna. That would be fun.
Anyway, Star Wars is pain, Star Wars is tragedy, and that brings us to our next, much more serious topic of conversation, because not all the High Republic news is good High Republic news. And I think there was a bit of excitement when we all heard that there was going to be a High Republic video game. We were like, ooh, Star Wars Eclipse, what's that? And then you watch the trailer and you're like, wow, the trailer is quite beautiful. There's something interesting happening here. I'm curious to know more. And then we get Star Wars Eclipse and everybody's like, hooray. And then we get Quantic Dream. And then we're like, absolutely not. And I think it's really important to talk about, because I don't know how Lucasfilm Games and Lucasfilm looked at this and said, ah, yes, with all of these things that its creator has said, with all of the kind of troubles and scandals and just like bullshit that the creator has said, yeah, we're going to get into bed with these guys and we're going to make a game with them in, the most inclusive and like forward thinking part of of Star Wars. And so the reality is that this is a thing that's happening now, and it's not okay and it's not cool. And so we want to take a little bit of time to like make sure we talk about that. And if you're not caught up on that, and if you're listening, there's a hashtag, it's Blackout Star Wars Eclipse, that you can check, and there's a lot of information there. But I just kind of want to get our thoughts here about all of this and the initial reaction you had, and also like what happened once you saw Quantic Dream. And Danny, I'd love to start with you on that.
Yeah, my feelings are complicated, and I've had a couple of weeks now to sort of like digest it. And I think that I've boiled down to kind of just like, there are two things that I really want to highlight from this that I think are important to be thinking about. And one is that the comments that David Cage has made are bad. And we've seen those, like, those are the headlines. Those are really catchy and really easy to like jump onto and be like, that thing he said sucks. Why would you work with this guy? But what that indicates is a workplace culture beneath those comments that is harming and affecting thousands of people who work for this company, right? And so you see like the person in charge is comfortable being publicly saying these things. Like, what sort of workspace is that for the trans and non-binary and queer of all stripes and BIPOC and every other women, every other not white cis male person working for this company? Like, what are they having to deal with every day? And so I think that a lot of the outrage that I'm seeing is directed towards the comments, and I think it's important to remember that like what is really harmful about this is not just the comments, but the workplace culture and the people who are working there and being harmed by the fact that the person who makes these comments is in charge.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one thing that I've been thinking a lot about. And I think the other thing is just that Disney, Lucasfilm is not our friend. Like, Disney and Lucasfilm are a corporation, and it's really, really hard to like say that and think about that, because they are putting out these stories that are so meaningful and touch us so personally. And these are stories about turn away the dark side, embrace the light. Meanwhile, this company is doing what all corporations are designed to do in our capitalist society, which is do every single thing you can to make your bottom dollar, which is necessarily things that these characters that we love would be saying, don't do that. That's the path to the dark side. So it's really hard, again, because I want to look at this and go, Star Wars is for, Star Wars is for everyone is a phrase we hear a lot. Like, why would Star Wars do this? And at the end of the day, Star Wars would do this because Star Wars is a corporation in a capitalist society. So it's really hard to sort of like separate the personal feelings I have for the stories from the reality that I live in the society that encourages and the way to survive in this society is to be a corporation that does evil things to make your bottom dollar.
Mhm.
So that's really hard. But at the end of the day, like that then is my reminder that like the way that I can have an impact and a voice is, yes, speaking out about these things whenever I can, but also putting my dollar where it counts. And where I'm putting my dollar is behind the works that are being created by, for example, Justina Ireland, Claudia Gray, Kevin Scott, these folks that are writing these stories that are not harmful, are extremely inclusive, are pushing the bar further than we've ever seen in a Star Wars property, and are funny that the people writing them also happen to be not all a bunch of white men.
Mhm.
You know, so amazing how that works. And so at the end of the day, like it's really frustrating to me to see this partnership happening, and it's a reminder to me that like my personal projections of what I think Star Wars is and should be are not the reality. And so I need to continue to support the things that I do see Lucasfilm doing right, in the hopes that they will someday recognize that, treating people with humanity and respect not only is the right thing to do, but also like does help our bottom dollar. And I do believe that we can get there someday, but it's hard. And when things like this sort of set us back, it's really frustrating.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's my soapbox on all this. Thank you for letting me have the time to speak.
No, absolutely. I appreciate it. And it's tough, right? When you have a part of Star Wars that feels so accessible and so like diverse and so rich with just like creativity and feeling like you can see yourself in the story finally, and then to now have a part of that niche that is like inaccessible to people or who don't want to support that, right? And you're right, that is the reality of the society that we live in, where these things happen because it's just good for the bottom dollar. And it's unfortunate when there's announcement after announcement that comes with like an asterisk, right? That's like, see footnote, right? Like, hey, you know, we're making an Ahsoka show, but it's look who's playing Ahsoka, or, you know, we're making a High Republic game, but look who's making the High Republic game, right? And so it's just like, it's very tiresome after a while. But I think to your point, Danny, just continuing to speak about it and not be silent about it, because at the end of the day, we have to unify behind these like movements. And like, you know, even if we can't necessarily change the behavior of a giant corporation, we can certainly put our money where our mouth is, where our mouth is, and let them know it's not okay. And hopefully the game sales show that. And yeah, I feel bad too for the developers at the studio who, I mean, I'll link the Gizmodo article that James Whitbrook wrote, and I think it's a really good depiction of like what's been going on, and also from some of the people in the community, including Chase from Pink Milk had a couple quotes in there. But I mean, it mentions a toxic workplace with culture crunch and potential violations of French labor laws and like so many other things, a bigoted culture. It's just, I don't know. It's very upsetting. And I wish we can do better, and I wish Lucasfilm could do better. But part of me thinks that, you know, we won't really see that. And it's tough when they release statements like with, you know, John Boyega last year, and they say, you know, we're going to be the change, and then they're clearly not being the change, and it's upsetting. So those are my 2 cents on it. I, for one, won't be playing this game or buying it or we won't be covering it on this podcast beyond our discussion right now about, you know, the announcement of it. But yeah, Sarah, what did you have to say?
Yeah, it is frustrating to feel like this piece of trust has been shattered, but I think you're totally right, Danny, in thinking that like at the end of the day, Lucasfilm is a corporation. They're not here for you personally. They're there to make money. For people who work there, it is a job. For people who work, you know, at Quantic Dream, it is a job for them. And for us, this is a hobby. You know, we give them free publicity every day by doing this, you know, sort of podcast. But at the same time, capitalism. Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate that we live in a system that not only allows this behavior to happen, but like ultimately encourages it in order to make more dollars, which is the point. And I hope that, you know, the High Republic community continues to talk about it. I hope that the High Republic community comes together about it. And I hope that the High Republic community doesn't shy away from the stories that they do love, you know, because of it. I think that there's so much to love here. And I do think that this game and this book universe are going to feel separate from one another in a lot of ways because there are different people behind them. So I'm just hoping that we'll be able to continue to love the thing that we love and also understand the society that we live in. And at the same time, we're allowed to be really upset about it and express that as well. So it's complicated. It's really complicated and it's upsetting. And we're here for the books though. So
yeah,
yay books.
I think, as you say, like there is an amazing High Republic community, like, and we have seen this online movement of people speaking out against this. And I think that's really encouraging. And I think it's also just a reminder that, like, for all of us, regardless of our identity, like, allyship is not meant to be easy or convenient. And so, well, yeah, I'm an ally, but I really want to see the story of the game, so I'll still buy the game and see what happens. Like, that's not good allyship, right? Because that is then showing that, like, it's only when it's convenient. And I think that I haven't seen a lot of that, which was surprising to me because I saw a different reaction with live action Ahsoka. I feel like a lot of people were saying, well, it's fine, I'll still watch the show, or we're more willing to write that off. And granted, there's different complexities, it's a different issue, but I really the point of this is that to say that I'm grateful for the High Republic fan community really kind of getting behind this and seeing sort of not seeing that sort of like convenient allyship that I feel like we sometimes see when it comes to these pop culture issues.
100%.
Yeah, the important thing is it goes beyond Star Wars, right? This is not like a Star Wars issue. It's like a matter of like human rights and like who we respect in the world and like not being a complete dirtbag of a person to other people just because they're different than you, right? So it's, yeah, you can't, like you said, I think you put it perfectly. I don't, but like we've been saying here, we'll just keep supporting the works of the authors and Star Wars Publishing. I would like to shout it out for, I think, paving the way the most out of anything in Star Wars in terms of representation. Like, we have Ronin, where there's a non-binary character, there's trans characters and non-binary characters in the High Republic, and just a wide breadth of diverse characters. And I think that's just great to see. And we haven't really seen that in the films or the TV shows, like, to the length I would have liked to have seen it and how many people would have liked to have seen it. And I'm just glad that they have the capacity to do that. And I think that's why so many more people are getting into Star Wars books over the last couple of years. And we love books here. And that's why we'll continue to support Star Wars Publishing, because I think they're doing all the right things. And I'm having like quite a blast with everybody else in the book community who is enjoying these stories as well. So, speaking of which, Ronin slaps, by the way.
Yes.
Shout out.
It speaks to the corporate perception of where the audience is too, right? The fact that we have seen this amazing representation and they're allowed to sort of push the envelope, quote unquote, in these published works in a way that we haven't seen on screen. And so again, I think the more that the fan community can just like be loud about this and show that, like, actually there are a lot of us reading these books and we love them, like, that can only be a good thing.
Absolutely. Well, Danny, did you have anything else to add to this discussion or this part of the discussion, or Sarah?
No, let's put this behind us and have some fun.
All right. Well, speaking of loving books, it would not be a High Republic episode without our independent bookstore of the week. So, Sarah, take it away.
It's my time.
It's your time.
Back to good energy over here. And some good energy for all of us is Octavia Books. They're based out of New Orleans, Louisiana, which happens to be the hometown of one Claudia Gray. You've probably heard of her. She's pretty cool. And I'll be honest with you.
Book coming out, I think.
She does. You may or may not have heard of it. It's called The Fallen Star, and it's out on January 4th, wherever books are sold. But also all of your favorite independent bookstores, including Octavia Books. Oh, bringing it back. All right. And you can pre-order the book. And also, I think, get it signed by Claudia. And there's a poster that you can get signed. You know, that one we were talking about earlier that we were all terrified of, and there's not enough Elzar Man. Anyway, you can get it signed through there as well. I'll be honest, they don't have an About Us section on their website. Not one that I can find. So I can't give you all of their history like I typically do about our bookstores. However, I know this is more than one Star Wars author's bookstore home. And I know that they get the books to the people. And they have a really cool storefront. And they were voted the best locally owned bookstore. They've also been voted the best in New Orleans 2021. I would trust you to buy your Star Wars books here. So, OctaviaBooks.com. This doesn't feel like my best bookstore review, but I haven't had the opportunity to visit. So once I do, we'll give an updated one and I'll talk about how it went. But we should maybe all plan a trip and go. I've never been to Louisiana, so I would like to.
Me neither. Let's go for New Year's Eve. I heard it's crazy down there. Well, actually, let's not do that because there's a pandemic happening. There's a panini. We'll go next year, I'm saying. Next year.
Okay.
When
next
it's
year,
hopefully over.
We'll go on a book vacation and we'll go to Octavia Books and then we will
Party
purchase
hardy.
Star Wars books.
That too.
Listeners from the
And
far
party
future,
hardy.
a fun game to play is to listen to this episode and guess which December we are recording this right now.
Ouch.
Oh no. Coming for the throat. Oof. But hey, as Danny said, corporations are not our friends. So that's why you should buy local and support your indie bookstores because these people got to put food on the table, not go to space like that guy who's Jeffrey Bezos, the fedora. Does he wear a fedora now?
Jeffrey
I don't know.
Bezos looking guy.
That guy.
Anyway, the booksellers also, as you know, I am a bookseller, guys. You probably didn't know this about me. You did. But they also really love books. So they're there to recommend you something new that you've never heard of. And they're there to be really awesome. So go to your local bookstore if you have one, because they love you just as much as they love books. Okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm off the books pedestal, but we're about to get back on it because we're going to talk about the High Republic again. Continued.
Wave 3 alert. It's here. Coming out a week from tomorrow, January 4th. It's already the end of 2021 and I'm still processing March of 2020.
Ouch.
Where are we at right now? Where are we at, folks? But hey, I'm also still processing Wave 2 because that shit hurt. That shit hurted real bad. Okay? Danny, what was your reaction?
Yes,
what was your reaction to Wave 2? You know, the fact that, okay, by the way, spoilers for anybody who hasn't read Wave 2. I would assume that if you're listening to our Wave 3 preview, you'd assume there would be spoilers in this episode. There are going to be spoilers. So with that said, Danny, how did you feel about Loading Greatstorm getting Thanos dusted, about Belle going through it, about Vernestra having visions and Marie Santeca dying? There's so much that happened.
Not to mention Horny Eldar Man.
And that. He had his pants down to his ankles while Vala was getting attacked.
Yeah, which of these things made me most sad? I'm not sure. Eldar Man didn't get some? Or Marie Santeca died and Vernestra's having visions. It's all equally sad. I mean, it's so hard. Like, when you started describing this, it's all dominated by that moment that I can see in my brain, right? With Loading Greatstorm. It's and now that you mentioned that, like, I wonder if we would be reacting to this moment differently if we hadn't all just gone through Avengers Infinity War, like, and didn't have like such a visceral reaction to that, and now we have the visual of that in our brains. Like, I never thought about that. That's kind of funny that it's kind of the same thing. But yeah, really, like that takes the cake as far as like anything else that's happened so far, as far as like painful moments that are seared into my brain. And so it's really hard to think about Wave 2 without that sort of being the dominant thing. Mm-hmm. And my thoughts on that are just incoherent yelling.
Yeah.
And a lot of question marks about what is the leveler. I am so scared of this fictional character who has this fictional thing that I don't know anything about except for its fictional name, which sounds kind of stupid, but yet still is very threatening.
It's because it levels cities.
What does that mean? I don't know. Like, so did the Death Star, but we've seen that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, I mean, that's nothing at this point.
5 times? Like,
planet killing, the laser beams, whatever.
Yeah.
But like the leveler, keep me up at night. Horrifying.
Yeah.
Horrifying. I'm right there with you. That line, whenever I talk to anybody at the bookstore and I'm like, yeah, these High Republic books, you got to start these. Also, and then I immediately go, also, the last line of The Rising Storm haunts me to this day. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, really. And they're like, oh, that's weird. And I'm like, yeah, But you try and read it and not feel like this.
The first line and the last line, honestly, like
yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ouch. Kevin. Ouch.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the High Republic who hear screaming quite often. Elzar being one of those characters, Ty being another character. I feel like Bell is going to live with the screams of Loden for the rest of his life, most likely. It's not great. Not great, Bob.
Therapy for everybody.
And the thing that's really incredible about this is that most of these characters we're talking about have appeared in 2 books, right? The 2 adult novels. And they've appeared alongside their 337 other cast members, all of whom I care deeply about. And somehow, like, in the fact that they had, maybe collectively 15 pages to talk about each of these characters when all said and done, like, I am feeling this deep sense of loss and fear and pain and regret.
Here's the thing. I mean, we'll go all the way back to wave 1. Like, Jorah Malley, just, like, gone. Yeah. And I'm like, wait, she was cool as hell. Like, I want to be her best friend. No, dead. Like,
yeah.
That's the thing with these books and these characters is like, there is no sacred character. Nothing is sacred here. Nobody is holding anything back. They're like, reason to kill off this character? Gone. Reason to kill off this character? Out of here. Do we care if it'll make you cry? No. Go for it. Cry. It's incredible to me. Like, just the level of equal weight that like everybody seems to have in these stories. And the fact that there's so many of them to wait,
I'm still bitter about chapter 43 of The Rising Storm personally, which was when we said rip to Mikkel Submani. Because if you if you know me, my Star Wars thing is the Ithorians, because they're the environmentalists of the galaxy and I love them. And we had this awesome Ithorian Jedi who was sort of in the background of Light of the Jedi. And I was like, great, we're gonna get a slow burn on this guy. He's gonna be like the hero by the end of it. And then you're right, no one is safe. Don't get attached to any background characters. Don't get attached to any front round characters. Like, they're all gone.
And also, shout out to the Clone Wars 2D micro series when we had an Ithorian Jedi and he did the thing where he like opened his chest and he like shot out waves of sound and like the whole floor was ripping up and the walls are coming down. I would have loved to have seen Mikkel do that.
Some have called that the most important moment in Star Wars. I'm not saying who they are, but some have said that at some point.
That's so good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder who.
Okay, so we've mentioned the Leveler. So notably from the comics and sort of hinted at the end of Tempest Runner, which was an awesome audiobook. Lorna D has the Leveler.
Shit, man. We're all doomed. She does. And she used it. Maybe we should have told you this in before we recorded. There's a lot going on here.
I'm sorry. Lorna famously makes totally good and well decisions. D.
Yeah,
has
she
the
does.
Leveler.
Yeah. It's
okay.
Not good. She uses it on some of the other comic characters, and I can tell you, they're not doing so well.
Mm-mm.
Because they're a pile of dust.
Well, they're kind of like they're stone right now.
Oh, okay.
They're not so. I think it's
less leveled.
Like,
is she not as experienced with the device? She's not able to level people quite as effectively as Marciano.
Yeah, she couldn't like turn them straight to dust. But
maybe that's a good theory. Actually, one does not simply level.
We can only imagine that she will fully level some folks sooner rather than later.
I'm hoping it's when Panetta comes back for the 3rd time and he's like, can't get a word out because he's coughing so hard. And she like gets the leveler out of her pocket and then looks at what bad shape he's in and then just like taps him and he falls over and dies on the spot and just puts the leveler back in her pocket. It's like, we'll save that for someone who needs it more.
Just like a pile of dust.
Yeah.
In her next turn, she's like, funny. Someone come sweep this.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously though, Panetta, we need to talk about him for a sec. He needs some help. Somehow Panetta has returned. So I don't want to see that. Lorna's going to level him and it's going to cure his cough and then he'll be fine. And then we'll
that'd be a
celebrate.
twist.
Yeah.
The destiny of the prophecy of the leveler is that all shall be leveled except the one true heir to the throne. And Panetta rises victorious. Please not Panetta. Anyone but Panetta.
Anyone but Panetta. Wet Bub, perhaps.
Yes, Wet Bub, sure, but hashtag anyone but Panetta.
Oh, not my Nile throne, man. Anyways. All right. So there's been a schism between Marcian and Lorna. So, stuff's going to go down. I think Lorna is going to be attacking the Starlight Beacon with the leveler, and seems like she's trying. Well, the interesting thing that we learn at the end of Rising Storm is everybody thinks that she's the eye of the Nile, which I think allows her probably to sort of rise as the true eye. I don't know what's really going on with Marcian. Do you guys see that kind of happening? Like, them being at odds with each other for most of Wave 3 and maybe kind of doing separate things, trying to prove their worth.
I feel like Lorna has been set up to succeed Marcian, and I'm just waiting for him to get brutally murdered so that it'll happen. And what if it doesn't happen? And we have two supervillains here who are doing different supervillain sort of things. I'm confused, frankly. I'm confused, conflicted, confounded. I just needed to get an alliteration in there. I don't know what to think.
I think a thing that I am hoping for this Wave 3 of Phase 1.
You can make up any number you want.
Why are you like this? Republic, why are you like this? I think I'm hoping for Phase
5, Wave 10.
I think I'm hoping for these books is that we do ultimately get clarity on what the ultimate objective of the Nile is. And I think we've got this Marcian Row origin comic coming up, and then sort of this grand conclusion to the first third of the High Republic. I think between these two things, we're going to get some clarity on that. Because right now, all I know is that they're a pyramid scheme, and I don't understand beyond that what the Nile are, except that they love parties. And it kind of makes them scarier because obviously everyone's freaked out about them and they're causing chaos, but I don't know what the end goal is. And I think that I would really like to find out that information. And that will then help me to understand what's going on between Lorna and Marcian. Because I can see it going either way. And that's what's really great about this is it's a true Game of Thrones situation. We've got these two really they're equals in a lot of ways. You could really see a lot of different outcomes where either of them comes out victorious. And the thing is that just like the Wars of the Roses, the historical event upon which the Game of Thrones series was based, at the very epilogue of all of these back and forths will rise the villain that they all thought dead and long wrote out of their history. The Henry Tudor of Star Wars The High Republic will be Darth Wetbub, who will show up to take control of whatever's left of the Nile at this point, and thus begin the revenge of the Sith.
Ooh. Is Wetbub Jar Jar? Does Wetbub become Jar Jar? And that feeds into maybe Darth Jar Jar territory.
I want you to know, Brad, that there's more than one. There's more than one Gungan.
More than one Gungan Sith Lord. Jar Jar had posters of Darth Wetbub in his room growing up.
Jar Jar
his hero.
is the grandson of Wetbub.
Oh,
you're a bub.
Get out! I'm gonna throw a tomato at you. I swear to God, that was a step too far.
Everybody's related in Star Wars.
Stop.
Jar Jar
Anyway,
Bub.
I have to say that it's almost like you host a British history podcast. I kind of got that vibe there for a second. Could it be true? I don't know.
It is. It's
true. Who would have thought? But yeah, I think that Wetbub coming to power here would be the real turn of the whole High Republic. And the fact that we don't know what the Nile's ultimate goal is leaves all of these doors open. Maybe Crix Camerat will come out of the shadows and serve at the hand of Wetbub,
Out of the shadows. That's a book title.
Look at me.
It's all connected.
It's all connected. Illuminati. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, this is the thing. When they set up these two really powerful people to be butting heads with each other, and they set up this whole thing of who will die? Here's a poster of all the people that could die. No one is actually going to die. That would be too obvious. What's actually going to happen is one of these people is going to turn out to actually rule the Nile and be the ultimate baddie.
Ooh.
Wow.
Who are we placing bets on?
That was so smart.
Thank you.
That was a really smart person thing to say. Yeah. Wow. I think it's I mean, it has to be Kiev from the comics, right? Like, we know that there's a Master Trennis who went dark in Dooku Jedi Lost. That's one of the Lost 20s. And like, she's featuring heavily in the mainline comics. And I gotta say, she's not doing well. She's not okay. She does need therapy.
Can't relate.
Like the rest of them.
I was gonna say, we can all use it.
Could it be Kiev? But Kiev hasn't featured in the books. You know, there's so much going on here. It's a multimedia thing. Damn it. It's too much. We're all of us right now, like in all of our individual houses with our wall-sized, you know, whiteboards, connecting the dots and circling theories and, you know, putting the string, because like
conspiracy theory boards. Yeah.
It's all left open. I have no idea what's going to happen. And like, we have not gotten review copies or anything. I imagine they're trying to keep this all pretty close to the vest, but also there are like probably 10 people in the UK who have this book in their hands right now, because the UK is being weird about it. Waterstones has it in stock right now. There are people who know right now, and we're not among them. And the power they hold with all of the possibilities scares the living daylights out of me.
The power of the sun in the palm of their hand.
No disrespect to those 10 people. And this is not a dig to them, but like, wow. The rest of us just don't know.
I feel so alone and afraid. It's fine. All will be revealed in like a week.
I know. I don't know how to handle that
from when this episode
like,
drops.
what if
Although we have to wait like 2 weeks from when we're recording, which is brutal. So yay,
I'm
for
so
future
jealous
us.
of me when this episode drops.
Right. But my thing is like, I just don't know how to handle the fact that like I'm gonna know the answers.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to know. I don't know if I want to know.
Are you gonna know the answers again? Like, I feel like, okay, are you ready for the hottest take I'm gonna offer on this episode?
Yes.
Yeah.
Starlight Beacon, it's gonna be fine. They are marketing this so heavily. Starlight Beacon is totally going down. Who's gonna die with Starlight Beacon? And I'm just like, so nothing's gonna happen to Starlight Beacon then, right?
It's got to be like a, you know, Republic Fair sort of thing, and that's the middle of the book.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like a Luke TLJ situation where it's like the projected Starlight Beacon, and the Naira are like, "Yeah, we won," but then there's like a Starlight Beacon on Octo meditating on a rock.
Yeah, they smoked him.
Danny, I feel like I need you to knock some sense into my brain. Like, Sarah, they're marketing it like this, which means it's not going to be like this at all.
No,
dang it.
No, see,
I mean,
this is
I know,
the thing.
but like,
this is a long shot. Like, all the evidence points to the fact that Starlight Beacon is going down. But if it doesn't, like, how awesome am I going to look 2 weeks from now when we all know? And I'm here on this episode saying these words that Starlight Beacon is going to be fine.
But like, okay, I mean, yeah, like, okay, maybe Starlight Beacon does go down and the whole Outer Rim loses long transport, quick communications, and they have to send snail mail back to each other. And it's terrible.
Yeah, but also the Republic's like surveillance system that they were eventually going to build on that thing also goes down. So is it the worst thing in the world?
Great point. You've made a great point. Maybe we just need to get into letter writing again, and it'll all be good.
Call your senators.
But in reality, though, like, the Starlight Beacon could go down and everybody could survive, or everybody could die, but the Starlight Beacon remains, or the Starlight Beacon remains and it's just the great progenitor who is living on it and nobody else is living on it anymore. Like, or like a part of the Starlight Beacon can go down, or like maybe they all maybe Avar Kriss sings her Song of the Force and they all connect together and they like force push the Starlight Beacon back into the sky. Like, who knows? But also, like, I think at the same time, I'm struggling to believe like maybe Starlight Beacon won't go down because this is just how they're marketing this, right? If nobody's going to die, because it's Claudia. Mm-hmm. They saved Claudia in phase. Oh, Jesus Christ. Wave 2. They saved her in wave 2 to write this book in wave 3, which means she has extra time to break my heart. Extra time to hurt me.
She's pulling the dagger out of her sleeve.
It again raises this question of what the phases are. Like, are the Nihil the big bad 4? I'm so mad that the audio dramas have gotten me going Nihil. It's Nihil. It's not Nihil. What is this? It's Nihil.
Nihilism.
Yeah, Marcion Rowe, not Markion Rowe. Nonsense.
Absolutely
sorry,
not.
Much
sorry,
like
Mark
Sarah
Thompson.
Haas, there's an unnecessary H that we do not need to pronounce.
Yeah, Sarah, ass. I get it. I get
No, not what I'm saying.
I know what you want to say here.
But yeah, are the Nile the baddies all the way through the High Republic, or are they just our baddies? Like, are they going to go on a big ball of flames at the end of phase 1, and then the progenitor on Starlight Beacon is going to like have a resurgence, and then the Nile or the Drengir are baddies for wave 2, and then wave 2 is all about defeating the Drengir, and then Darth Wetbub shows up for wave 3 to really just like knock them all down.
We might have to cut this part. Because
of how obvious it is the game plan.
That's
for
exactly what
the
yeah. You know how Sony and Marvel reached out to John Campea and were like, you got to take this photo down. He's like, it's fake. Lucasfilm is going to reach out to us and be like, you guys, Danny's theory was, you can't air that. You can't air that. We'll be like, but we're a hobby podcast. We're not affiliated with you officially. And they'll be like,
well, then, since this is all going to get deleted anyways, I'll give you the true smoking gun.
Okay.
Marchion Ro invents this. How do we feel this podcast? Marchion or Marchion? Or
Marchion.
Okay. For sure.
Marchion Ro invents this concept called the Rule of 3.
Oh.
Where have we heard that before? I believe I am familiar with the Rule of 3 minus 1 invented by a famous Sith Lord. Like, I've
heard of it.
Where did Darth Wetbub learn about the Rule of 2? Get the inspiration for the Rule of 2? It was right there. We saw the scene in front of us happen. Yes. Ooh. The theory is that Wetbub is Darth Bane of the new canon.
Whoa.
Thank you very much. I'll be here all night.
This is so good.
You heard it here first.
This is like the most solid crack theory I've ever heard in my life. Like
did we see a body?
Works.
I'm actually asking you. I don't remember. Did we see a body?
Wetbub is in the world between worlds.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Somebody rescue Wetbug from the world between worlds. I just feel like you're totally right about the Rule of 3. You're totally right.
For real, like when I read that, I was like, wait, that's just the Rule of 2, but there's one added. Like, what?
It doesn't work. It's not okay. And we all know that 3 is a crowd. So, Brad, we're kicking you off of this podcast.
Oh, okay. I knew it was going to happen at some point.
So,
friend of the Force.
It's me. It's what it says on the website. I am the friend of the Force. That's what it says. That's how it's always been. This is my long game.
Wow. You were the Palpatine here, and I was the
you haven't even given me all the passwords, but like, who needs them?
You have the Amazon password. That's the
I know. I could
ones.
just buy things and send them to my house. So it's fine.
You could put me in a lot of debt.
You and Darth Bezos are just like this, you know?
Darth Bezos. Yeah. Anyways, all we know, 3's a crowd, so somebody's got to go. And who has seen it in action? Wetbub. You're right. You're right. And like, how do we get to 2? How do we get to 2? Because 2 is a really small number. And then if you just kill one of those people, it becomes 1. So not a lot of being passed around here. It's got to be a really tight kind of thought process here. So they figured something out.
I'll tell you what I do know. Zetar is not going to be the other of the 2. And that's because Zetar is going to get out of here and go be this is a relation that we do have. The great-great-great-great-great-grandpa of is it Visto Bindi? Visto, the shadow virus guy from the Clone Wars who has the exact same voice as Zetar from the audio drama.
Oh.
I have no idea on my end over here. You mentioned Clone Wars and it's gone out of my depth.
I tried really hard to erase the shadow virus from my mind after I watched that episode. And then I heard Zetar's voice and it all came back to me like these trauma flashbacks that I thought that I had repressed. Anyway, were we talking about the High Republic at some point?
To bring it back to the High Republic,
I told you I'm bringing the chaos.
There is and we're going to go for like 3 hours at this point. There is a question here in all caps that I feel like I have to ask, maybe for myself, and you better all say yes, and it's going to be great, and multiple times. Okay. Will Avar and Elzar kiss? Yes.
No.
Yes.
If you're going to write it in all caps, you have to ask it in all caps.
Yeah, but you don't understand how I'm like maxing out my Wevel waves, even talking like this. So I'm trying not to be loud. But here, let me.
Just like go stand at the back of the room. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. I have a wired microphone here, so we're just kind of go with it. Will Avar and Elzar kiss? Yes. Answer yes. Thank you. Yes or yes. Those are the only two options.
It's going to be a lot of editing for me right there. I'm just kidding.
I love being on a podcast. I'm not the editor. This is so fun.
Both of you can just scream the entire episode, and then I just cry on my Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
It's really fun for me, and I think it's a lot less fun for Brad. But we're at the point in doing this podcast where it's like, oh, Sarah, do you want to learn editing? Maybe not, because I've been doing this for so long, and I actually know how it works. And watch you edit a podcast, yikes, that might be rough.
I have enjoyed watching the light slowly drain from his eyes over the course of the last hour.
Okay, so Avar and Elzar kissing. I just want to say, Danny, you created a great ship name for both of them. When we were on Twitter a while ago, and I think we had originally were doing cran stands, I think was our original.
Well, it was like yeah, and it was also like there's Avzar,
yeah,
which is another one. But like Cran was a good one.
And then Danny, they come up with cranberries, which we were like, oh my God, that's incredible. Like we can all be cranberries together. You know, we're just like the wild cranberries who want two space wizards to kiss on the Starlight Beacon as it blows up. And I think Claudia Gray's the one to do it.
No, stop. We do not want them to kiss on the Starlight Beacon as it blows up. We would like them to kiss and have a nice romantic moment and then to both live. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That's what I would like to say.
Reader, Sarah has physically held up her hand for the entirety of that speech in the stop gesture.
Bold prediction. Avar and Elzar floating on a piece of debris. There's not enough room for Elzar. Avar's like, never let go, Elzar. And he's like, I won't. And then the epilogue of The Fallen Star is Avar in The Phantom Menace. And she's like, it's been 84 years. I haven't seen Elzar since. And then his Force Ghost appears. And then we all live happily ever after. Surprise! The High Republic is over. Happy ending for everybody. She's dating a ghost now.
Can you kiss a Force Ghost is the question that begs.
And as we've learned in many a Raylo fanfic, the answer is yes.
Yeah, okay. I imagine that has been answered.
Anyway, that's not really the outcome I'd prefer. One of them dead. Like ghost romances, that's nice. That's good. It's fun. But is that what I desire? No.
So I want to, because I came up with the ship name, I want to use this platform to formally announce that I'm updating the ship. And it's now Cranland Berries.
Ooh.
Which was the best that I could do to incorporate Still and Geos into Cranberries.
Love triangle.
Because there's no way that this is not a throuple or love triangle of some sort.
I fully support this. I firmly believe in the fact that, I'm not really an anti of any ship. Everybody kissing everybody, that's fine with me. That sounds good. That sounds like the ideal here. And to add Stellan Geos into the ship only feels natural. I think it'd be great. Like obviously Stellan and Elzar have a great and very trusting relationship. Like, I think that's a good foundation for their romance, and like, it feels like Stellan and Avar have a little bit of a strained relationship, but like, they're both adults. Like, they can work it out. I trust them to do that. They're smart people. And then Avar and Elzar just needs to get out of her head a little bit and everything will be good. Like, she knows that Elzar's hot. They have a past, oh my gosh, and I mean, Stellan too, and Avar, they're beautiful people. And why shouldn't they not all date?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's so I know that I am with you. I want more Elzar, man. Who doesn't? Like, I need more of this disaster man. But here's a thing that I would like to see for this book. So Light of the Jedi, Stellan was essentially absent. So we really got a look at the Avar Elzar relationship. Rising Storm, Avar was essentially absent, and really the heart of that book was the relationship between Stellan and Elzar. And so I really want the Stellan Avar relationship to get a chance to get the focus too, because that is the most interesting one of the three to me. Avar and Elzar, messy lovers, like, we've seen it, we get it. Elzar and Stellan, bros who are clearly in love, just can't admit it to each other, we've seen it, we get it. But like, what is going on with Stellan and Avar? I'm really, really intrigued, and I really want to get a chance to dive into their relationship before we then bring all three of them together, which is one reason why I'm hoping that we don't have a big time jump for phase 2, because I want a whole book to explore Avar and Stellan, and then wave 2, phase 2, whatever the hell too, we can explore. We can have the three of them together, for those books.
I don't think you're entirely wrong, because I feel like the comics are setting up Stellan and Avar being the two mains for this book, because they're really butting heads with each other all the time.
Yeah, and how good would it be if this book ended with them making out and feeling real bad about it?
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. Stop. Stop.
It's messy and I love it.
I love my chaotic kids. Like they're just a hot mess, and all of them. And
Stellan's like, Avar, what about the Starlight Beacon? And she's like, what about it? And then she kisses him.
Ooh.
Steamy. Trouble in paradise.
The way I would scream as I was reading. But here's the thing.
And where did Claudia Gray get her start? It was in fan fiction. So
bingo.
Sorry, was that the point you just wanted to make? Did I totally steal that from you?
There we go.
No.
Okay.
I was just going to say that I think Lucasfilm Publishing should be consulting you about the direction of... Because I think
I don't want people pointing their fingers at me when they don't like the direction this stuff is going.
But secretly. Okay. And then your wet bub Sith theory comes to light, and then everybody's like, wow, that's some genius stuff right there. They really figured it out. And you'd be like, you're like, I put this whole thing into motion. And it'd be great. And I want that for you.
Sometimes, the age-old expression, even a broken shit poster is right twice a day. Is that what they say?
Where do we go from here? Do we talk about some excerpts? Do we have more shit to post?
Well, Brad's got more thoughts on Avar that I totally.
I have one thought on.
I would love to hear it. Please.
I have a thought on Avar before we start to get into the excerpts.
I would love to hear it.
So the adult book is called The Fallen Star, and Star Wars is very, very clever with their titles. Like, oh, The Rise of Skywalker. It's like Rey, it's Ben, but it's also the Skywalker name, like the Last Jedi. Like she is the last Jedi, but she's not the last Jedi, and Luke's the last Jedi. Whatever. Force Awakens and Finn and Rey and Kylo. It's all awakening. Okay, so the Fallen Star is obviously a Starlight Beacon, but guess who's the poster boy? The star of the Republic.
No.
Guess who is the star?
Get
the
out.
Star for the TV.
Stop it.
He's always in every interview.
The moment he became the unwilling face of the Jedi movement in Rise
crying.
of Storm, yeah. It was so obvious that yes, something terrible is going to happen here. I think you're on the money, Brad.
Bold prediction,
I would like you to get out.
Stellan does not make it out of this book.
No.
And as we talk about Avar and Stellan, Avar is going to be dealt the worst emotional blow of her entire life, and we're going to lose a third of that trio, and then Elzar is just going to go down a very dark path. I think Avar is going to be,
and it's going to be right after that kiss we talked about, so Avar is going to feel even worse about it.
That or like he's dying in her arms, and then it's like A Little Fall of Rain in Les Miserables. She's like, she's trying to sing, and it's really sad. And then they had share kiss, and then it's done, and she's dead. But like opposite, it'd be like Stellan. He's like, I love it. She's like, shit, I loved you this whole time, and then he dies, and then she feels really guilty because she also still loves Elzar. And what we need to understand here as a society is that life is complicated and love is complicated. And our feelings are valid. Okay, that's all I have to say. We could talk about the excerpts now, okay?
I can't deal with another man dying after kissing the woman he loves. I can't deal with it. I can't. I'll cry for days.
I think there's a lot of potential for double meetings of the Fallen Star, because I think Avar has kind of been set up from the beginning as the star of this whole movement for one, but also the star of the Jedi Order. So I think there's potential for Avar to also have a Fallen Star moment, whatever that means. I think there's probably more that we will learn about as we read that we don't even know that we're being set up for the disappointment of just yet.
Yeah, and there's some dramatic irony. The hero of Hetzal becoming the tragic fallen hero of the Starlight Beacon. There's some horrifying poetry there that I don't want to experience quite yet, but I will on January 4th when the Fallen Star hits bookshelves, folks.
Listeners, I just need you to know that right behind the laptop where I record is my Light of the Jedi poster book cover thing, and I'm just staring at Avar as we have this conversation. And I'm like, wow.
She.
Ouch. Yeah, I'm going she. And then I'm like, ouch.
I think there's a
All
high
the time.
likelihood Avar is one of our future Darksiders. And that's not a shitpost prediction. That's a genuine prediction.
I know, I believe you, and that's what maybe hurts the most.
I think Elzar Mann had his dalliance with the dark side. I think he's going to be all right. I think Avar is. I think she is a little bit too stressed. She's about to burst at the seams, and it's not going to... A thing that I love about the High Republic is that we have seen in so many of these different media, Jedi learning how to properly handle their emotions.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like an extremely foreign concept to Yoda, Yariel, Poof, and Ovora and Sistis, apparently. Because by the time we get to the Phantom Menace era, no one is dealing with their emotions properly.
It's because Yoda stopped baking treats.
Yeah.
It's because he stopped indulging in his hobbies.
Self-care is important, kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Avar Kriss is maybe one that we're not seeing taking care of herself and her emotions, because she's just taking on project after project and using that as a distraction from the real things that are hurting her. I think that none of us can relate to in our lives.
No.
And that dam is going to burst pretty soon here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's a scary thing to predict. It's a scary thing to think about, because I mean, I don't know anyone, like including myself, who has ever really dealt with that. So the idea of seeing it in a book form is really concerning, because like, I don't even know how you handled that.
Yeah, it'd be tough if any of us were repressing anything like this, because then reading the book might awaken some of those things for us, and it's good that that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
the High Republic has never been painful like that, and the characters are just breezing along in such a way that I really feel like I can have a lot of fun while reading these books.
Yeah,
and so
it's called escapism for a reason, right?
Yeah, and so it's really nice to not have to have those existential crises while engaging in my fiction. It's been really lovely. So yeah,
looking forward to that continuing into wave 3 of phase 1.
That was right, and I really had to think about it.
All right, so we are going to get into the excerpts that have been released for Wave 3. So if you don't want to know anything about the books or what happens in the books, turn back now, maybe fast forward to the end of the episode. I'll timestamp it. So let's start with The Fallen Star, written by Claudia Gray, out on January 4th. So there's 2 excerpts that have been released. I will link all of these in the description. One of them is from StarWars.com, and the other is from The Wrap. So the StarWars.com one is sort of focused on Bell and him dealing with the loss of Loden Greatstorm, and they lead a raid on a Nile ship, along with Buryaga, Indira Stokes, and Nib Assek, who, like Nib Assek, I love her. She's great. Also Buryaga, love him. He's great. Also Indira, they're all great. I love them so much. But the excerpt on The Wrap, which came out actually a couple days ago as of the time of this recording, is a Marchion Ro excerpt, and he's basically destroying 4 planets simultaneously in an effort to have all of the escapees from these disasters flee to the Starlight Beacon and lead Marchion Ro right to the heart of the Republic, or at least the Republic's vision and object of unity and light and everything good in the world, or whatever. So things aren't looking great for the Jedi, because I think on one side of things, the Jedi think they're winning. They're on the offensive. They think that they're doing a great job, as Bell thinks. And on the other side, you have Marchion, who's like, oh, you guys don't even know what you're about to get into right now. I'm coming for you. What do we think of these 2 excerpts? Danny, let's start with you.
I thought it was really nice of them to share the one victory that we'll be seeing for the Jedi with us ahead of time.
It's probably like the second chapter.
Yeah, this is definitely chapter 1 or 2 material.
Yeah.
Little side quest.
I thought it was nice of them to show us a moment of Bell seeming well adjusted enough to make a joke to a fellow Padawan.
How?
Yeah, how is a good question. Unsure. Again,
Lots
the
of
Jedi
therapy.
are good at therapy and emotional regulation in this era, so maybe he's getting what he needs incredibly.
Well, I know it's been hinted at that maybe Buryaga would be a Jedi that could become a therapist of some sort. Maybe that's something he could do. I don't know if that was hinted at in Light of the Jedi, but I wonder if like Belle and Buryaga have become close, tight knit, like, you know, two bros, just kind of fist bumping each other every now and then and having a good time, and also like sharing their feelings. I would love that. I would love that. I would love that so much.
Buryaga just like, Belle, if you're at a party you don't want to be at, you just leave. You don't have to stay at the party. There's no obligation. Like, we could all use little Buryaga in our lives.
Yeah. Text me, I'll pick you up. I'll drive you home. It's fine. You know, I'll be your DD for the night.
I want Belle to go on an all expenses paid spa vacation, and I don't think he's gotten the opportunity to do that. That's just my educated guess. And frankly, that concerns me a little bit. Because yes, this might be a nice moment, a little victory, and he's cracking a little joke. Yay, right? Yay. But how can one be okay after what he witnessed?
Full stop.
How can one be okay? If they want to write him out of the books for a little while, he could just sit on the sidelines, go to the spa, you know, just like vibe generally for a little bit. Like, that'd be cool with me, because I think it would mean he'd be a little bit more okay a little later. So that's one thing. And it definitely feels like chapter 1 or 2 material, because there's not the sense of dread that you get in the second excerpt. There's a real sense of dread in that one. And I just feel like that's going to be a lot of the book, to be really honest. So like, it's got to be earlier on that we get that Belle. I mean, this one might be early on too. The dread might be setting in early, but this is before the dread. And, Marcion Rowe, man. Darn him.
Yeah, that second excerpt, I don't know what I can think besides, oh ho ho, here are 4 planets, I will destroy them. Okay, General Hux.
I mean, I bet you if you put them both in the same room, they would like have a yell off about like who's destroying more planets. And I really think they could go toe to toe doing that. I think Hux does win, but like, I think that Marcion Rowe would put up a good fight in that conversation and be like, yeah, well, have you ever destroyed a ship mid hyperspace, causing all of these, like causing 99 problems? Like, have you ever done that? No, the answer is no, you haven't. Because yeah, you got your little Death Star, your little 4th Death Star or whatever. You know, it's like, that's fun, that's nice, but is it inventive? The answer is no.
I feel like Marcion would try to poison Hux with one of those like poison needle dart things, and I just imagine like Domhnall Gleeson being like, "Did you just poison me?" Like, I would love to see that conversation. He would just nail that line delivery so well.
All respect to Armitage Hux. Actually, I take that back. No respect to Armitage Hux. Like, he wouldn't stand a chance against Marcion Rowe. Like this, it's not even. They're not even playing at the same level.
10 out of 10 would be leveled by
Yes.
Marcion Rowe.
Hux has definitely obliterated more planets, but he's also a bit of a wimp. So
General Hugs, folding for General Hugs.
I was watching that last week and I was like, wow, Domhnall Gleeson in this movie he's really going for it. And I really love that for him and this character. I have a question for the group, for the class here. What is one thing that you know from having read Claudia's book that like you're looking forward to or dreading or expecting in this book? Like, maybe it's something she does in her writing. Maybe it's a particular plot prediction. Because for me, I guess where I'm going with this is, for me, like, I really just feel like she really develops characters well. Like, I feel like I'm going to get to know a couple of these characters a lot better in a much deeper sort of manner. I feel like that's what I'm going to get. Maybe it's Marcion, maybe it's Avar, maybe it's Belle, maybe it's something else completely. But yeah.
I'm trying to think. This is the first time that she's writing a book that is a sequel to someone else's work, right? All her others have been original. Yeah. So that's kind of interesting to see how that plays out. When you asked that question, my head went empty, and the only words that were just like flashing like a neon sign was "sexy time, sexy time, sexy time." So I guess that's what I'm here for.
You know what? I support that. I'm on board with that.
Yes. I mean, all I could think about is the napkin bombing in Bloodline. So like maybe if there's a moment like that where we're like, you know, just the classic like jaw drop, put the book down, Claudia moment. I want one of those. I feel like Lost Stars made me do that a lot as well. So I would love that. Love a good like Claudia zinger. That'd be good.
I have no doubt we're gonna get that for sure. This is gonna be a whole book worth of pain. So
yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to Midnight Horizon, which there's only one excerpt. My biggest takeaway from this excerpt is Ram using the word wizard and saying like, wow, that's so wizard. And it felt like a really important meta commentary about the use of the word wizard in the prequels. And I think, according to this, I get the vibe that Ram is the person who created the word wizard. So I'd like to think when Kitster uses that word in The Phantom Menace, it was something that was started by Ram back in the days of the High Republic. And he started this because he says he made it up and it's not actually a thing on Valo. So go Ram for being a trendsetter.
Canon.
Appreciate it, King. Appreciate it, King.
We are truly blessed to be able to read words written by Daniel Jose Older.
Yes.
And this moment really sort of exemplified that. I also loved the fact that this actually makes Kitster into a giant old-timey dork. Because as we know, like, hip slang amongst the youths comes and goes very rapidly. So Kitster is actually, like, digging up a 200-year-old TikTok trend in The Phantom Menace when he's like, that's so wizard. And everyone around is just like, well, that's just how Kitster speaks. He talks like an old person. It's fine.
I love everything about that. I've never once thought about that, but there are 200 years, like, you know, in our real lives, there's like 20 years between then and now. It's like, it's been a minute in the Star Wars universe. And
Kitster's like a 12-year-old that goes around saying things like, blimey.
I love everything about that. And I feel like I am going to turn this so much more serious with this excerpt, because there's a moment in here where Ram is like, yeah, so I'm feeling nothing these days and I feel quite empty. And I'm like,
same.
Yeah. Like, and that's one of those great things about, you know, science fiction and fantasy, right? Is that it can really reflect our current moment and reflect our current feelings or tell us something that we need to hear, but do that in a completely different setting and a completely different place. And this is something I've been really praising Star Trek Discovery for, because like, wow, does this current season really feel like it came out of the emotions of the pandemic, but not necessarily the situations of the pandemic, right? And so this is also feeling like that. And Ram talking about his emptiness and then getting some support in that and being told to continue to seek balance and continue to keep searching and continue to keep going, I think is really, really valuable. And I'm glad that they're addressing it, because these characters are going through really traumatic stuff. And like, if you go back to the original trilogy, Leia is like going through one traumatic bombshell after the next and not getting any time to like process that like a human. And so, you know, of course we get that moment with her, a couple moments with her in The Last Jedi, kind of doing a little bit of processing, quiet moments. And I'm like, well, thank God we have that. But I'm so glad we're actually getting time with these characters to at least talk about it, even if they're not always focusing on it. And my other comment here is about the very end. They're like, something happened on Corellia. We going or are we dancing? And I'm like, oh my God, I hope they dance. Please, for the love of God, choose to dance. Just, yeah. So I don't know if you guys like felt anything about that last line like I did, but like, whew, ouch.
I would just say like nothing better happened to Zine, because we must protect her at all costs. And Ram. And Lula.
And V18. I mean, thank you.
And V18. Yeah. I mean, Race to Crash Point Tower is one of my like favorite, it might be my favorite middle grade book of Star Wars. Daniel Jose Older is such a strong writer, and the fact that he like put all these characters together and just made them feel like a close-knit group of like they've been best buds their whole lives when really they just met like a couple months ago or something, or like a year ago. And like, that's just so damn cool. I love that for them. And yeah, It's like a new trio between these three. And V18, obviously. He's like the R2D2 of the group.
There are like 5 of them.
True. Well, with Court and Farzala, yes. I guess I wonder if they will make an appearance in the book. But speaking strictly to the 3 that are in the book, have been in the book so far, and in this excerpt specifically.
Farzala is my boy.
How do you feel about Ram, Danny? Do you like Ram? Do you like Zine? Do you like the whole crew?
Oh, I love Ram. I think, Ram is like. Ram not only invented the greatest slang phrase of the era, but also like accidentally discovered that like instead of fighting the Drengir, you just have to reason with them and then they go away. Which is so great. It like Ram, again, all these characters are so relatable, but just that like Ram wants to be working in a shed and needs to think in mechanical terms. Like that's not something I can relate to personally, but just we have never seen anything like that. And I think I love them all so much. And for the people that are not reading the middle grade YA books, like you're missing out on so much because it's almost like we have the older verse and the Ireland verse at this point because Justina and Daniel kind of have their characters that follow them wherever they go.
Yeah.
But I love that because we get to see these characters in these different media and in these different stories. And again, they're doing it in a way where they can all stand alone too. It's really awesome. And I don't know. What was the question? I love
that,
them very much.
Who needs the question when you just have a good answer, right? I think Andrew Garfield, like as a person, would agree. But I really agree with you. And I feel that having these characters kind of move throughout the mediums, but also come back, I think I also just agree about like, if you're not reading the middle grade books, what are you doing? Because they're just so good. Race to Christ White Tower is hilarious. And I think that A Test of Courage is like a really valuable exploration of grief and like becoming yourself. And I don't know. I just feel like these characters and these stories are really valuable for people of any ages. They're not contained to their medium, which I think is such a testament to both Justina and Daniel as writers.
Well, speaking of Justina, so Mission to Disaster has been delayed to March 4th, which is okay. Totally cool. I'm okay waiting. I'm very sad because I love Justina and I love all the books that she's written. We will wait happily. And even Michael Seglim was like, you're going to want to wait because his books kick ass. And I'm so ready for it. So there's 2 excerpts. One's from Nerdist and that's like the entire first chapter, and the other's from StarWars.com. So
wait a second, I missed one of these entirely.
I found it today, so I will give you the TLDR version of it. It really ties into the StarWars.com one. So the first chapter essentially sees Avon, and she's in Port Halip, and she is trying to figure out how kyber crystals work because she wants she wants to harness its energy and find out how to duplicate the kyber's structure to power entire planets. She's thinking eco-friendly. She's thinking big. She's our like future engineer of everything. I'm excited to see like
she ran out of college degrees to obtain, so she's just taking on some other side projects now.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I gotta say, it's got Kevin Tarr energy to me, just a little bit. Kevin Tarr's like, what if we put all the robots together to save the universe?
Kevin Tarr better appear in this wave, or I'm gonna riot.
That's a phase 3, wave 3 must, right? Is the reappearance of Kevin Tarr.
Yes, Kevin Tarr is the man, the myth, the legend.
Anyway,
but this chapter ends with an attack on Port Halip, and Avon is captured. The door opens. She does grab the kyber crystal just in time, but she gets zapped by a Nile, and they're like, haha, nighty night, the Nile said, and that's the end of the chapter.
Excellent.
Yeah, very, very classy of the Nile to say that. So
I know you said Nile. I was picturing Drengir the entire time. It also works. It works with Drengir too.
The Drengir it would be nighty night, but it'd be nighty night. Eat. But on the other side of things, you have Emery and Vern who are training, and Emery's doing a lot of cool flips and jumps, a la Rey and the Rise of Skywalker on Agent Kloss. That's all I could picture when I was reading this. I love it. And that chapter ends with Vernestra seeing what's happening to Avon, and they sort of jump to action and are going to make a trip. Going to make a trip in their spaceship, Little Einsteins. So
it was rocket ship, and you got there in the end.
I got there eventually. It's fine. I had no childhood. It's fine. Anyways, what do we think of Mission to Disaster? Are we excited? Isn't Justina the GOAT? Yes and yes. Danny, kick us off.
I just have one thing to say about the excerpt that I did read, and it's this. Vernestra Rowe, Jedi Knight, Master to Padawan Imri Kantoros, needed a nap.
I wrote naps, a whole ass mood. Yeah.
Somehow Vernestra becomes more relatable every time I read her, and it just doesn't stop.
No, I'm right there with you. I was like, yeah, girl, like, yeah, me too. Me too. Thank you so much for asking, and I hope she gets it. I don't really think she's getting it. She seems to have some visions when she's not expecting them. Not so good. But naps, yes, we can do naps in hyperspace. We got to go places, Yeah, so I support that. I also want to mention that Vern is 17 at this point, so time has passed. Notable time, because she was 15 when she became a knight. And that's weird to think about, because again, as we discussed at length at the top of this episode, it's only been a year since the books came out? Question marks? And the fact that like more time has passed in the books is really interesting, and also difficult for my brain to wrap around, because what is time? Anyway,
I so love the Vernestra and Imri relationship.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
I think, as we've been talking, like during this episode, I think I've kind of come to a little realization that like the characters are all great, but it really is the relationships that are what is the key to the High Republic. We've seen so many unique relationships, and it's especially special because it is in the same setting of the prequel trilogy era and the Jedi Order. But again, because we're seeing all these books and we're seeing this different time, like we're able to see so many more different types of relationships than they're able to show within the Jedi Order during those movies, just necessarily being constrained by 3 movies and a very tight story that they're telling. And we see so much more. And like the Vernestra Imri relationship is so great. And we've seen like, it's just so real. We've seen like when they first appeared, which was the first middle grade book, Test of Courage. We sort of see like the foundation of this Master Padawan relationship. Vernestra's really sort of like in the teaching position and sort of taking on Imri as her Padawan. Over in Out of the Shadows, we sort of see that developing. We see Imri developing these new problems. He now suddenly is absorbing the emotion of every human around him, which maybe he needs to connect with. Maybe he needs to connect with Ram, who currently has no emotions, and they can sort of calibrate each other. I don't know, but like sort of dealing with this big issue and being like, oh my God, I'm 16 years old. How am I supposed to teach this kid who's dealing with this heavy shit, like how to deal with it? And then at the same time in Race to Crash Point Tower, we see Vernestra Rowe from the perspective of Lula, who is like hero worshipping this person, which is so different from when we see Vernestra, who's like, oh my God, I'm in too deep. I don't know what's going on here. And then now here in this book, like this excerpt that we saw, like the relationship has shifted a little bit again, because Vernestra's like, I need a nap. And Imri's like, let's go. I am ready. Like, we got this group going. And Vernestra's like, oh, buddy, dial it down a notch. And it's just so real to see sort of the way that the relationship shift, and the way that two people in any sort of relationship, friendship, mentorship, whatever it is, kind of have, the ebbs and flows of what that is over time. And that's just another real gift that the High Republic has given us.
And one would wonder too, how sustainable is that for Vernestra, because she's all the expectations of the world are on her. She's got to train a Padawan. She now has this knowledge that Marie Santeca gave her to some impossible destination at the edge of the universe that we still don't know anything about. She has the paths, maybe all the paths. I have no idea.
Oh my God.
And she's keeping it to herself. What did we know about Star Wars, folks? What do we know?
We have to all go to therapy.
Where is she on the dark side list? Wherever she is on the dark side list, in the words of K2SO, it is high.
Very high.
Very high.
Concealment is bad. The Sky Talkers have an entire episode series about how concealment is bad. It's bad.
It's like she heard the part of the song where Elsa's like, conceal, don't feel. And she's like, yeah.
That's it.
And then she turned the song off.
That's the stuff. I don't need any more of that.
No, Vernestra. It's called Let It Go for a reason.
In her defense, she had a term paper due. She didn't have time to listen to the whole song.
It's tough out there on this Starlight Beacon. It really is. But I gotta bring it back. I gotta bring it back to the nap, because do you know what the nap is at the end of the day?
The friends we made along the way.
No, it's wishful thinking.
Okay.
And wishful thinking also, here we go, happens to be the name of the ship that the Jedi Quartermaster of Starlight Beacon, Master Nubaran, let her borrow, which is hilarious and awkward and foreshadowing. It's gotta be, like I just had to laugh that of all things it was called the wishful thinking. So yeah, everybody, all of our besties in the High Republic getting a happy ending. Wishful thinking. Thank you, that's it.
We've talked about all the excerpts, and now we've heard from you on the Twitter sphere. We asked you to send us your questions, your comments about Wave 3, and we had a couple of you respond. So we're going to start with our patron, Levi. Hello, Levi. And
hi, Levi.
He asked, we've gotten some really interesting perspectives on the Jedi in the first part of the High Republic, with new Force techniques and mysticism, species that haven't been seen as Jedi before, and a more caring and empathetic order overall. What would you like to see from them going forward? So what would we like to see from the Jedi moving forward? I will start real quick and just say, stop being dumbasses. Don't put the Queen Drangir on the Starlight Beacon. Seems like a bad idea. Weird flex, but okay. I just, Sarah and I saying on the show is like, what could go wrong? Everything. So Jedi, ask yourselves before you take any action. Just ask yourselves what could go wrong. And if your first thought is not nothing, like if your gut doesn't immediately say that, don't do whatever you're about to do. Just stop.
Here's the thing. We know the ending.
I know.
So the only option here, and maybe you're okay with this, the only option here is for there to be a multiverse nexus point at some point in the next 200 years. And our Jedi that we know and love are actually breaking off into an alternate reality where they live happily ever after, and Palpatine doesn't rise to power.
Wow.
So if you're okay with that being a thing in Star Wars, then we can have our happy ending.
I need you to know that this is exactly what I desire.
Oh, okay, great. I thought this would be an unpopular opinion.
Because I happen to love some weird time shit and some parallel universes. Like, I often think about what parallel universe, like President Hillary Clinton, non-pandemic times, all the different variations of things that go on in the world. I wonder how she's doing, and I hope that she's thriving. And I wonder if she got a theater degree instead of a political science degree. We'll never know. But yeah, like I think about her a lot, and I love thinking about that sort of stuff in my fiction. So if it happens, I'd be thrilled. But I have to say that like what I desire is the Jedi to allow themselves to kiss each other and not feel guilty about it.
Yeah. More kissing. Yeah,
but like more kissing, and then because they're already kissing, and then they like become Jedi masters, and they're like, oh, but we have to stop. We have to stop doing that. So that's bad.
It's like you're already doing it.
Maybe that's. And maybe they kiss too much. Maybe that's where this is going.
But it's like
they're gonna kiss too much, and then mono is gonna spread throughout the Jedi Temple, and that's when they're like, "Nope, you know what? Attachments, we're shutting it down. We can't afford the healthcare.
We have to quarantine."
They're like mono's serious stuff. Yeah, no, I just want them to feel less guilt about their feelings. I feel like they all have felt a certain amount of guilt about their feelings all the time. Of course, like Lula it won't happen. We know our goal is okay. I'm just spitballing here. I just feel like we could all enjoy seeing emulated less guilt about our feelings in our fiction. The Jedi should try to like not feel that way, and I think they would feel better about things.
Yeah, I think my hope for the Jedi is that they whatever happens, but really my hope is that you, dear listener, can learn from the examples of the Jedi. And not feel guilt for your emotions.
Wow, that was such a good spin. Thank you. And that's the end of the episode. Thank you so much, everybody.
I mean, that would be a great way to end. All right. So, Ryan at Grey Jedi Ryan, they asked favorite Ithorian, which I'm assuming was directed at Danny because they probably know who your favorite Ithorian is already.
Do you not have a favorite Ithorian?
Well, you've already mentioned it. You said yours was Mikkel, right? And I'm assuming, have you been standing Mikkel pretty hard on Twitter for people to know that you are the prime Mikkel stan?
I was kind of forced into it because there weren't a lot of Ithorians to choose from. Currently, I'm standing the main character of the Book of Boba Fett, who is the Ithorian that we saw in the trailer.
Yes.
I'm ready.
I met Doc Ondar kind of recently, and
oh my god, so jealous. How is he doing? Is he okay? Is he staying hydrated?
It's okay. Like I think he's staying hydrated. Like I think business has been like a little weird during this time, but like
yeah.
I think his business is staying afloat. And it was
taking his meds.
Pardon?
Is he taking his meds?
I don't think we're that close in order to like really. I don't know if I know that about him and his life. So I would hope so if he's listening right now. Take your meds, buddy. But yeah, no, meeting Doc Ondar was a real life changer. Because I don't think I realized how large he is and and how high he sits in his little area. And it was a real game changer. I cried upon seeing him. So like I think Doc Ondar is my favorite Ithorian. So thank you. That's my whole talk. I'm so sorry. Everything becomes a weird story with me.
Ryan, they also asked opinions on LGBTQ representation in Star Wars in a general sense. And I think we've talked about this a little bit up front when we were talking about the company that shall not be named. But I'll reiterate what I said, is I think the publishing has been the leader in that. And I think that's where Star Wars has been willing to take more quote unquote risks. I don't really think they are risks because these are just people. At the end of the day, they shouldn't be seen as risks, but unfortunately capitalism sees these sorts of steps in the right directions as risk when it comes to like movies and TV. So I think I would like to see TV and movies catch up. I don't think including like a 2-second kiss between two women in The Rise of Skywalker counts as that LGBTQ rep that J.J. Abrams promised like 4 years ago. But I think,
one of them was played by Joe Russo though. So
yeah,
pretty revolutionary.
So, I would like to see, I think Leslie Headland might be somebody who could maybe push the envelope a little bit on screen, and I would trust her to do that. And I think it just is a matter of who is in charge of these projects. We saw Loki, was presented as bisexual, and Loki and Kate Herron, who is bisexual. There's a pattern there, right? The people who make these stories and their lived experiences then sort of transform onto the screen in some way. So it really also depends on like who we're allowing to tell the stories. And I think like continuing to allow a lot of like white cis men to do these things is like not going to like push us in the right direction. So, publishing, yay. Everything else, nay currently, but I'm hopeful, and I'm hoping that we get more. So, Jenny, what about you?
I agree with everything you just said. I think my thoughts on LGBT representation of Star Wars is that it is good. Not the state of it, but the actual concept of it.
Queers in the space fiction?
Yes,
please.
Yes, please. Yes.
Explicitly queer.
Yeah.
I don't mean explicitly. I mean explicitly.
Yeah. Exactly. It's frustrating to, and this now I'm talking about the state and not the content. It's frustrating to see other space franchise fiction star shows make real strides in their on-screen representation, and Star Wars still have next to nil of that. And I don't know if I have as much like I'm the cynic on the podcast, and also in real life. I don't know if I have as much explicit hope that like we'll see it, but of course, I'm hoping for more on-screen representation as well. And I think the publishing initiatives are doing a lot of really good stuff, and I hope that we continue to see that. And I hope that writers and creators are encouraged to continue writing about all of their lived experiences and all of these different sort of characters that either might reflect themselves or don't. But yeah, I think it's really important, really valuable, and it helps everybody, not just the ones who necessarily feel seen for the first time, but it helps every single person who is reading that to maybe understand an identity that is different than their own. And I think that's really valuable. And we could all use a little more empathy in this world.
Yeah. Our next question is from Harish. at King Harish Kier. And he says, which Jedi do you think will come face to face or fight Marchion and Fallen Star? So the excerpt that we read hints at him eventually making his way to the Starlight Beacon. I'm assuming Lorna's also going to be there. There's going to be some like dramatic tension of like, who's the real I? Who's the more badass in this situation? I am. No, I am. And they're going to be like just, trying to outpower each other. But yeah, I think Marchion Ro's
it's a Misa.
Oh, there's a third.
Here comes a voice from the background.
Misa on your left. And then he looks behind and he's coming through a Doctor Strange portal. Wet bub from the multiverse. Oh, it's happening. Crowd reaction goes wild.
Oh boy. All of them is my answer. It's a cop-out answer, but all of them.
That's a lot of people to put that you're voluntarily putting right in front of the most dangerous character in this initiative at the moment.
Yeah, but we already have established that probably some of them are going to die, and I think we just kind of have to accept our fate at this point.
You're ripping the Band-Aid off.
I don't want to, but it's got to come off. Can't stay there forever.
Who's your top choice, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thruple is obvious.
Yeah.
An obvious choice here. I think it'd be interesting to put the Padawans or like, and I say that not actually wanting it because I want them to live and become the next generation of mentors. But I think it'd be very interesting to see Vernester Rowe and Reith Comac end up in the situation where suddenly they're in front of like the head Nile dude with his leveler and see that they somehow succeed in this situation in a way that the older folks aren't able to because they have this different way of thinking, which we've seen over and over again. Is that like they have this different perspective. The young generation is able to see things differently with a fresh mind and out of the traditional ways. I'm kind of rambling here, but I think it'd be interesting to see that in the highest of stakes situation to really sort of like emphasize that theme that we've sort of seen rumbling a little bit of that this young generation brings a lot to the table.
Yeah. Well, I think you alluded to something. What happens when that younger generation comes face to face with the leveler? That I would love to see that because we've seen Keeve face the leveler, we've seen Bell see it, but like, what would happen if Ram saw the leveler or Zine or Lula or Vern? You're like, how do you deal with that knowledge of that thing existing and what it can do? At such a young age.
Yeah, in Guardians of the Galaxy style, they all join hands. And Ronan goes to level them, and doink, nothing happens because they're dancing.
See, that's where the dancing all comes back.
To dance off.
It's foreshadowed in Midnight Horizon.
Yeah, that's some good thinking.
It's big brain right there.
Some good brain power right there. Yeah.
I think the theories are getting more legit the longer we record this episode. I don't know how if that's a coincidence or not, but it's just really the quality of the content we're providing for your listeners.
It's going up.
Yeah.
So I actually have a comment on my retweet of this. And Rachel, Built on Stardust, says, if they touch Ember, I'm rioting. Do we agree? Are we joining Rachel in this fight here? Because it's, you have to ask yourself in this time, what the dog doing? Right? And
I just had the saddest thought.
Oh, no. You're not allowed to say that. Whatever it is, you're not allowed.
It doesn't involve the dog dying.
Oh.
It involves the last scene of the High Republic being Ember just laying down and softly laying her head down as the last surviving member of the entire Jedi Order.
And in the novelization, it's have you read the Rogue One novelization?
Oh, yes.
Okay, yeah. Brad hasn't, but like that, that one part where it's like in the last.
I know exactly what you're alluding to.
Yeah, that would be very ouch. It'd be very ouch. Yep. I don't need that. But yeah, if they touch Ember, you can't.
I said
can't
that
hurt the dog.
we're in favor of the High Republic creatives and like the masterminds behind this. But if they touch Ember, like I am not opposed to just finding some torches and pitchforks that happen to be lying around. And maybe just walking past a couple of their houses, not like going to the door. Like I don't want to endorse like this kind of targeted harassment, but we might just like walk down the street a couple times to really.
Well, walk down the street, but they just keep walking. We're on a hike.
Might show up at the Yoda fountain in San Francisco and just get into a staring contest with a pitchfork.
With
See
Yoda.
who wins.
Yeah, exactly. Down with corporations. That bring that all back together.
Yes. To the corporation that be. Yeah.
The Yoda fountain is the problem.
We're having a stare off with the Yoda. It's like, you stopped baking goodies and this is all your fault.
Yeah, we see you hiding behind your ivory Yoda fountain.
Wait. Do we think that the Yoda fountain at Lucasfilm is actually a cover-up? Does Yoda actually exist and he was leveled? And that is the real Yoda?
Is it leveled Yoda?
Is it leveled Yoda?
That's where the inspiration for Star Wars came from.
Yoda gave George Lucas.
Sure George Lucas wrote that in his memoirs.
Yoda gave Lucas all of the ideas after Lucas found him in a crashed UFO, and then they leveled him in 1976. We got to look into this a little more. I'm a little skeptical now.
You just said the theories were getting better. I'm not so sure.
Y'all are gonna laugh at me, but it's true. It's true. I'm gonna talk about it on Twitter.
That's the theme of this episode: is say bold things, because one of them will eventually be right, and then you could be the awesomest person.
Yeah,
in the room.
eventually a dart will hit the board, instead of the wall.
Yeah.
It's fine. All right. This last question here is from @Dyad in the Force, and she asks, "Are there any romances in the High Republic you'd want to see? And for somebody who hasn't read any High Republic stories, what would you say are the essential must-reads to get caught up for Wave 3? I apologize if you've listened this far into the episode and you don't know which stories to read, because I'm sorry if we spoiled it for you. But also, we can still give let's give our like essential reads, like maybe like our top couple books that we feel like if you only had enough time to read like 1 or 2 or 3 books."
Well, I was just going to say, like, what romances do you want to see? The answer is all of them.
Yeah.
All of them. As we were talking about earlier, who do you ship Geode with? Everybody. Yeah. So, like, all of the romances all the time. There's hardly been a time in the past year when I've not actively been reading a romance alongside all the other books. I just think it's good stuff. It's good stuff. We all deserve that happiness in our life, right? As for books you have to read, I will not say all of them, because that's not the answer that our friend here on Twitter is going for. I would say probably the adult novels, just because they give you the widest reach of the main events that are going on. But I mean, you can almost do any combo of them and get what you want. It's the great thing about the High Republic is you can read all of it and you can get all of the details and put it on your conspiracy theory map and drop the pins from one place to the other, right? Or you can pick and choose. If you really love the Padawans, just follow the Padawans. If you really love the trio, Azar, Jesus, they needed to really fix that naming problem. Avar, Elzar, and Stellan. Then you can just kind of read the adult novels in the mainline comic. You can kind of go where your interests are and still kind of get the picture of what's going on. And so I think that's kind of the magic of it all. It's a pick and choose thing, or it's a have it all, and the feast is really good too. So yeah.
I'm gonna answer this question in a way that, if you've been listening to me for the last 2 hours, probably won't be all that much of a surprise. But I'm going to answer both of these questions by answering the opposite of the questions. And so we've talked a lot about the romance we want to see, but I also just want to shout out that, like, this is the best ace representation we've had in Star Wars and in a lot of popular media that I've consumed personally.
Yes.
In Vernestra and Leox. And it's so exciting to see these fully fleshed out characters, and neither of them fit into sort of the stereotype you see for ace characters of being just like these sexless beings who don't want to be in relationships, because that's not what asexual people are. Some are, but there's a whole spectrum of identities that fall into the arrow ace identity, and seeing Leox and seeing Vernestra be able to be their own characters and also like have this be part of them has been really awesome. And so I'm excited to see more of that, and I trust the authors who are handling them to continue to give them really dynamic characters that have this as a part of their identity. That's really cool.
Retweet.
Oh my god, how did we go an entire Wave 3 preview without talking about Leox? The man, he is amazing.
Leox.
The man.
I love him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, which by the way, I hope
what an icon.
To Sarah, to your point earlier when you asked like what we would want to see from a Claudia book, bring back Leox, bring back Affy, bring back Geode. I hope they all appear.
Yeah, the whole vessel crew.
Yeah. I mean, those are like the 3 best characters one of the three best characters that have been introduced in the High Republic, and Affy's connection to the Bind Guild and indentured servitude and trying to be sort of a symbol to get rid of that in the galaxy now is really awesome. And also like Claudia Gray not being afraid to tackle those conversations in a galaxy far, far away, especially because the prequels are like, oh, slavery on Tatooine. Oh, we can't do anything about it, but we're going to take this young boy. All the rest of you, though, we can't. It's like, what was happening? So I hope that gets tackled more with Claudia. And I would wonder how she is able to integrate that into Fallen Star, because it's pretty much in all of her books, Master and Apprentice. Definitely Master and Apprentice and Into the Dark. So
I love the image of all the High Republic Jedi Force ghosts, like watching Qui-Gon Jinn and just, as the kids would say, being cringe. like watching Qui-Gon do this, we could save one slave, and they're all just like, no, that's not, no.
It's like, why?
Qui-Gon, that's not what we do.
Oh my god.
And like at this point, we're gonna assume that everybody lives like a normal human lifespan and has died. Okay, just for the sake of this hypothetical. And Orla Drenny's like, you could have just left the order for a bit, dude, and kind of just like done your own thing. You kind of had conflicting thoughts this whole time, and I mean, you could have just gone on a vacay and figured it out for yourself. You really needed to kind of do the things that you need to do before you come back. She's just like,
gosh,
he's gone so far astray.
Poor Jedi makes so many mistakes along the way,
and
they have no parents.
My answer to the second question is we've talked a lot about the main books, but like you said, Sarah, every single piece is good, and it fits together, and you can draw connections to it. And so I want to shout out, we haven't talked about Tempest Runner audio drama, which was awesome.
So good.
And we also haven't talked about Edge of Balance, which I think of everything High Republic has had the least fanfare surrounding it, but this is the first original Star Wars manga. Like, we've had a lot of Star Wars manga that are adaptations, but this is the first original Star Wars manga. Oh, funny that, Japanese author writing a manga story. Really good. Came out about the same time that we got our first Star Wars anime by Japanese anime studios. Like, I wish that that Edge of Balance saw a little bit more publicity, because it's really, it's the stakes aren't the same, but it's a little slice of life story, and it's really delightful. And there's themes there that connect with everything else High Republic too. Yeah.
And while we're continuing to hype it up, there's like a really kind of spooky thing that's happening in that series that like blew my mind a little bit in that first volume there. So seriously, highly recommend. It's pretty wild, pretty good.
And if that doesn't sell you, then I'll just say sexy Stellan Gios pictured.
Yes.
Easily the sexiest iteration of Stellan Gios across the media.
Oh, I mean, and Stellan Gios.
Yeah.
He's been sexy on like every art that he's shown up in. So we're saying something right here. And we are clearly the arbiters of good taste. So
that's been well established by now.
You should really just listen to us, obviously. Like, if you listen to us this entire time. Anyway.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for our High Republic preview here for Wave 3. So I'll go around for closing thoughts. Everybody wants to give sort of their final send-off before we dive into this next wave of tragedy to close out Phase 1. Phase 2, I'm assuming, will come around the time of Star Wars Celebration. It's called Quest of the Jedi. So I think, quest sounds very like adventurous and joyous and like, we're going on a quest. But also, I don't think it's meant to be read that way. I think it's a quest to like reclaim the Golden Age, because they're going to be in their lowest point. So I'm very excited for Wave 3, and again, the High Republic just continues to be the thing that is keeping my love of Star Wars alive, and I have just so much respect and admiration for the entire team writing these books. They're just such a great group of people, and Star Wars publishing for life. That's all I will say.
Yes to all of that. I will also say that, like, I would like to read it tomorrow, but also never read it. I'm really excited about it, but also terrified. And I'm really excited to cry and then send reaction photos to Brad once I finished it.
Yeah.
Because such is life. But yeah, I'm
And
looking
Danny.
forward to all of
Don't
it.
leave Danny out
and
of this.
Danny, do you want to get in on my reaction
You can add
photos?
me to that list. Yes,
okay, cool. The
more support we can offer to each other, the more people we can bring into this circle, the better, I think.
We finished The Rising Storm at the same time, and both of our faces were like literally at the same time, which we've never done before. We sent selfies and we were like,
yeah, we finished
just
it within minutes of each other.
I don't even know how to handle that. So we need to time it.
I have to tell you, to just add a total other tangent into this point of the episode, the Rising Storm. I was at a summer camp this summer working, and so it took me a long time to read Rising Storm because I would just get bits of free time over the course of the days. But we had to take a camper to the emergency room one day, and they were in there for hours. Camper's fine, by the way. And I was just kind of sitting in the waiting room, and I was able to read most of the second half of the book at that point. And I got to literally 4 pages from the end when the camper was released to us, and I had to go back to being a camp counselor and take the camper back to camp. And I got the back, and immediately the moment when I was able to turn my Kindle back on, I was sitting down to a meeting with our admin team, and we were having dinner, and I was just like, please just give me please just have a small talk long enough for me to read these 4 pages so that before we jump into the meat of this meeting.
Oh my god.
And then I had to sit there because that last 4 pages comes out of nowhere, and then I just sit there with all that while I'm trying to be present at camp and deal with all the camp things that are happening. Do not recommend. Anyway.
That's so rough.
Well, good thing this book is coming out in the winter time when there's not actively camp happening and you're not responsible for young ones and having to care for them. But yeah, can't wait for more pain. So that's the final thought of what I've got to say, or else I'll just keep talking in circles about it.
Yeah, I think I retweet everything you said, and just to hit home the point that this is good stuff and good people putting out good stuff, and let's keep making noise about it because we love to see good stuff from good people. And we want to see more good stuff from good people.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes to all that.
I love it when Star Wars is good stuff, good people. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, Danny, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. It was a pleasure having you for our Wave 3 preview episode. It's a special, momentous event. We only do 3 of these a year. I say that as if the High Republic has been around for 5 years or something, because it has, folks, in my mind. It's been there. It's been through war, there and back again. But for all of our listeners who enjoyed your High Republic thoughts and want to know more about you or follow what you're doing in life, where are you on social media and what do you got going on?
Sure. I would love for that person to follow me on Twitter. My handle is Danny Purgill. It's DANNIPURRGIL. And Purgill is the plural of Purgill. So if you don't remember anything else from this episode, please never again say the word Purgils because that is incorrect. And yeah, I'm a co-host on Rogue Podron, which is Rogue Podron on Twitter, and I kind of spearhead the High Republic spinoff, which is in the Rogue Podron feed, but it's just extremely casual, sit down with some friends and chat about whatever the latest release in the High Republic is. And it's been really fun to kind of take these piece by piece and talk about them. So yeah, thanks so much for having me on. And I feel so grateful that I got to just sit here for the last couple hours and talk about the High Republic with 2 people who I respect and adore. And this was really, really, really nice. So thanks.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. Thank you.
Well, thanks for saying yes. I've had a good time being here chatting with you. So thanks for being here.
Yes. Well, listeners, make sure to go follow them on Twitter when you can. And your tweets are funny. So I appreciate that as well. You got good tweets.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you can expect a lot of High Republic and Book of Boba Fett in the next month because those are 2 things that I'm extremely excited about and probably going to have way more emotions than any human should.
And your pinned tweet is a Lego Ithorian fishing, which seems very on brand for you. So I love that.
It'll never. I don't think it's ever going to change at this point.
Please never
I feel
change
a pinned tweet is part of the brand, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mine's a GIF I took with 2 stormtroopers, and one of them is doing a thumbs up, and I'm this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Mine is a Paddington 3 or a Paddington 2 meme that I made. So that's Paddington 3.
This all
needs
tracks.
To come out. I need it.
I learned so much. Oh, someone needs to do a psychological study on what you can learn about a personality based off their pinned tweet.
Ooh.
And how much of it is performative and how much of it is actually representative of the person behind the Twitter account.
Dang, we're getting some deep psychoanalysis
in this essay,
here.
I will.
Awesome. Well, once again, Danny, thank you for joining us on the show. And if you enjoyed this episode and want more of our High Republic coverage, because guess what, folks? We're doing a spoiler discussion for every book that's coming out. So make sure you're subscribed to us wherever you're listening, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Speaking of Spotify, there's a new rating system on there. So if that's where you listen, make sure to go leave a rating and do that wherever you listen as well. Let us know how we're doing. If we're doing terrible, let us know. If we're doing great, also let us know, because the doing greats definitely make me feel good and Sarah feel good. We are on Twitter, Letterboxd, and Goodreads, and Sarah is at Sarah's Puzzle Pages on Instagram, where she's doing all the cool things with books. So
I've never heard of a book.
I've literally never read a single page in my life.
Yeah, me either, but that's okay because I have the internet, and the internet tells me all the information that I need to know. Yeah. But the internet is also the place where our Patreon is, and we're so grateful to our patrons who help make the show happen. So thank you to Amy, Anna, Brian, Cheryl, Deborah, Donnie, Elegy, Jessi, Jen, Knights of Ren, Huong, Levi, Lindsay, Lucy, Marie Claire, Neil, Rachel, Sarah, Saberbouquet, Sky Talkers, Travis, and T.
Thank you. So until next time, folks, we are all the Republic.